They tell you the woods don't have secrets, that every sound out there has an explanation. A branch, a deer, the wind settling into the pines. The people who work the backcountry know better. Tonight, 3 of them break the silence. 3 park rangers. 3 calls that never made it into the official log. My name is Evan. For 9 seasons, I worked backcountry patrol in a park I'm not supposed to name on record, up in the northern Rockies. 4,000 square miles of ridgeline, alpine lakes, and trail that most people never see past the first mile marker. I was 26 when I started, and I genuinely believed, that every unexplained thing a hiker reported was just exhaustion, dehydration, or a flashlight playing tricks at 3 in the morning. I was wrong, not about most of it. But once a season, something would come across the radio that I couldn't file under explainable. And the people who work the deepest backcountry don't talk about those calls. Not to visitors, not to each other, and never, ever, in the log. It started the way it always starts, a routine welfare check. Late September, the shoulder season, when the campgrounds empty out and the cold starts moving down from the ridgelines. A couple from Oregon had been reported overdue by their daughter. I found their truck first, parked exactly where the daughter said it would be, doors locked, a thermos still in the cup holder. That's not unusual. What was unusual was the state of the trail. The first half mile looked normal. Then, 40 minutes in, the tracks just stopped. 2 sets of boot prints, walking north, side by side, and then nothing. No turn, no fall, no scuffle. Just clean trail, like they'd been lifted off the ground mid-stride. I remember standing there, looking at where the prints ended, and feeling the hair on the back of my neck stand up in a way I couldn't blame on the cold. Quick pause before the story gets really dark. If you want a new one of these every single week, a new story that never made it into the reports, hit subscribe and turn on the bell right now. That's all it takes. I'll still be here telling these stories when you come back. Now, where was I? Oh, right, the boots. I radioed it in. My supervisor told me to widen the grid and wait for backup, so I walked. And as I walked, I started noticing the silence. Real silence. The kind that isn't natural. No birds, no insects. A dead calm, like the whole forest was holding its breath. Then I smelled it. A sweetness, faint at first, that I couldn't name then. It wasn't rot. It was older than rot. The smell of something that had been decaying somewhere wet for a very long time, and then stopped. I found the first object about 100 yards off the trail, the woman's boot, upright, perfectly placed on a flat stone, like someone had set it there deliberately. The laces were still tied. You don't step out of a tied boot and leave it standing on a rock. I should have stopped there and waited. I know that now, but there was something about the boot that made me keep walking, deeper, off the trail, into a stand of lodgepole pine, where the light came down gray and wrong. That's where I found the second boot. And the man's jacket, folded neatly over a low branch. And the pack, leaning against a trunk, zipper open, water bottle still full, map still inside, phone still charged with 4 bars. Every single item, placed, not dropped, placed. It was the map that did it. I pulled it out to check their route, and that's when I saw the marks. Someone had drawn on it, a line leading from the trail straight into the deepest part of the basin, and at the end of the line, a single word, written small and careful, in a hand I didn't recognize. It said, "Come." I didn't follow the line. I don't know what would have happened if I had, and I'm not going to find out. I marked the coordinates, took photos, and walked back out the way I came, backwards, the whole way, so nothing was behind me I couldn't see. Backup arrived by dusk. A full search team, a helicopter, dogs. They swept that basin for 3 days. They found the boot, the jacket, the pack, the map. They never found the couple. Not a body, not a trace, not a single additional footprint. And the official report says the hikers likely became disoriented and perished of exposure. But here's the part I've never written down. When the evidence tech processed that map, the word was gone. The line was gone. A clean, unfolded trail map, like the marks had never been there at all. I left the backcountry the following spring. I work a desk now, where the silence never gets that deep, and nothing places your boots on a rock while you're not looking. But I still dream about that basin, about that word on the map. So if you're ever out there, past the first mile marker, and the forest goes quiet all at once, don't be brave. Turn around. Walk out backwards if you have to. Because some things out there aren't lost hikers and weather. Some things out there are waiting. The ranger who took that welfare call left the backcountry the next spring, but a second account came to me from the night desk, a dispatcher who worked a 4-room station where the radio never slept. He'd been there 6 years. He stayed 2 more. Then, one October night, the radio answered back. There's a rule in dispatch that nobody writes down and everybody follows. If a call comes in at 3 in the morning, you answer it. You always answer it. Because the one time you don't, that's the night you hear it again. I worked the night desk at a backcountry ranger station for 6 years. Small station, 4 rooms, 1 radio. Most nights it was nothing. Weather reports, a lost hiker. The night it happened, it was dead quiet. October. The campgrounds had been empty for 2 weeks. I remember checking the clock at 2:58 and thinking I'd finally get a full night's sleep. At 3 o'clock exactly, the radio came to life. Base, this is Unit 4. Base, do you copy? A voice I didn't recognize. That's not unusual. What was unusual was the unit number. We didn't have a Unit 4. We were a small station. Units 1, 2, and 3. That was it. I keyed the mic. Unit 4. This is Base. You're coming in broken. State your location. Static. Long enough that I thought I'd lost him. Then, quiet, almost a whisper. I'm at the fire tower. I need you to send someone. I can see something moving in the tree line. The fire tower. That's when the hair stood up on my arms. Our fire tower had been decommissioned 11 years before I started. The stairs had rotted out. The door was chained. Nobody had been up there in 2 decades because nobody could get up there. Unit 4, I said. Confirm your location. The fire tower is not in service. The voice came back, shaking. I can see it. It's tall. It's standing on 2 legs, but it's too tall, and it's looking at the tower. It knows I'm up here. Send someone. Please. I don't want to be alone up here anymore. I reached for the phone to wake my supervisor, and that's when the radio did something I'd never heard it do in 6 years. It started picking up a second transmission. Underneath Unit 4's voice, there was another sound. Breathing. Slow, wet, deep breathing. Like something with lungs too big for its chest, breathing directly into a mic somewhere out in the dark. Unit 4, I said. Get away from the windows. Do not engage. I'm sending everyone. The breathing got louder, and then the voice, Unit 4's voice, changed. It went calm, flat, too calm for a man who was being watched. Base, he said. It's okay. It's already inside. It's been inside for a long time. It's standing behind me. The transmission cut. Dead air. By dawn, there were 8 of us at the base of the fire tower, and the door chain was still intact, still rusted shut, still holding. We broke it anyway. Went up what was left of the stairs. The tower was empty, no footprints in the dust. But on the floor, in the middle of the room, there was a radio. An old handheld, our make, our frequency. The battery had been dead for years. It was warm. I pulled the duty logs. 11 years earlier, a ranger named Marcus Cole had worked our station. Unit 4 was his call sign. He'd gone missing on a night patrol in October, vanished without a trace, the file still open. Nobody ever found Marcus Cole. And the official record will tell you that a radio call was received that night from an unknown party, possibly a prank, and that a thorough search turned up nothing. But I heard his voice. I heard him ask me to send someone because he didn't want to be alone up there, and I heard the thing breathing behind him, so I'll tell you what I stopped telling myself after that night. Marcus Cole wasn't missing. He was still up there, and whatever was standing behind him in the tower, it was still up there too. I quit the night desk that spring. I sleep with a light on now, in an apartment in a city, far from any tower and any tree line. But every October, when the clocks fall back and 3 in the morning comes around, I'm awake, listening, because I learned the real rule that night. It's not that you always answer the radio at 3 a.m. It's that some calls aren't asking for help. Some calls are a warning. And if you ever pick one up and the voice on the other end tells you something is standing behind it, you listen, because the next call might be for you. 2 accounts in. The last one comes from a wildlife manager, a man who reviewed more trail camera footage than anyone in 4 parks. He'd stopped really looking at the photos years ago. Then he pulled one card from a camera nobody had checked in 9 months, and found out the camera had been looking back at him. I've worked wildlife management in 4 national parks, and I've reviewed more trail camera footage than anyone you'll ever meet. 40, 50,000 photos a season. Bears, elk, mountain lions, the occasional lost hiker. After a while, you stop really looking. You just flip through, count, log, move on. Until the night I found a photo that made me stop looking at all of them the same way. It was November, and I was doing the year-end review, going back through every SD card from the backcountry cams before the snow buried them. We had one camera way out on the north boundary, off-trail, pointed at a game trail nobody used. That camera had been out there for 9 months. Nobody had checked it since spring. I pulled the card, plugged it in, and started clicking through. The usual. A moose. Rain on the lens for 3 straight days. Then, about halfway through the year, on July 14th at 2:47 in the morning, the frame went wrong. It was a photo of the trail, empty, but in the trees at the edge of the frame, there was a figure, just barely visible. A pale shape, standing perfectly still, facing the camera. The motion trigger shouldn't have gone off. There was nothing moving in the shot. It was just standing there, looking directly down the lens, like it knew the camera was there. I zoomed in, and that's when I felt something cold crawl up my spine. The figure was too tall. It was standing upright, but its proportions were wrong. Arms too long, hanging past its knees, and a head slightly too large, tilted at an angle that made my neck ache just looking at it. The eyes caught the flash. 2 bright points reflecting back at me in a face that was otherwise just pale, featureless, wrong. I marked the frame and kept going. July 15th, nothing. July 16th, nothing. Then July 17th, 2:47 in the morning again, same spot. But it was closer now. Standing at the edge of the trail, maybe 20 yards from the camera, still facing it, still perfectly still. I clicked faster. July 20th, closer. July 24th, closer. Every few nights, same time, same spot, and each time it had moved a little nearer to the lens. By August, it was close enough that I could see it wasn't wearing anything. No clothes, no hair, just that pale, wrong skin and those eyes, reflecting the flash like 2 coins in the dark. By September, it filled half the frame, and in the September photos, for the first time, I could see its mouth. It was open, slightly, like it was breathing, like it was trying to say something to the camera, to whoever would eventually sit in a warm office and flip through these photos, one by one. alone. The last photo on the card was taken October 3rd at 2:47 in the morning. The camera was at the end of its battery, and it must have triggered at an angle, because this one was different. It wasn't the trail, it was the lens, mostly blocked, and in the sliver that wasn't blocked, there was that face. Not 20 yards away, not 10 inches. Pressed right up against the glass, filling the frame, the eye, one single eye, huge and pale and reflecting, staring straight through the camera, straight into the lens, straight at me, sitting there in my office chair. I dropped the card. I'll admit it. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall, trying to tell myself it was a hoax, a prank, someone in a costume who'd found the camera and decided to have some fun. But I'd checked that camera's position. It was 5 miles from the nearest trail, 2 miles from the nearest road, in terrain you don't hike by accident. And the photos spanned 4 months. Same time, same spot, every few nights. A prankster would have to be out there, alone, in the dark, off trail, dozens of times. And they'd have to have those proportions, those 2 long arms, that 2 tall frame. I reported it, filed the standard unexplained wildlife activity form, because there's no box for something that isn't an animal, stood 4 feet from a trail camera, and stared into the lens for 4 months. A ranger went out to check the site. The camera was gone. The tree it was strapped to was still there. The straps were still there, still buckled. But the camera itself, the metal housing, the lens, the SD card inside, was just gone. No tracks, no damage, just gone. The official line is that an animal or weather knocked it loose and it was never recovered. That's what it says in the report. But I saw the last photo. I saw what was on the other side of that lens, and I know that whatever it was, it didn't knock the camera loose. It took it. It took the only thing that had seen it, the only thing that had watched it back. I still work wildlife management, but I don't review the backcountry cards anymore. I can't. Every time I see a trail camera photo now, a deer, a bear, a moose in the dark, I look at the trees at the edge of the frame. I look for the pale shape, the 2 tall figure, the 2 bright eyes reflecting the flash, because I know now that some cameras out there, the ones we forget about, pointed at trails nobody uses. They don't just photograph the forest. Sometimes, the forest photographs back. And when it does, it's standing closer every time. If you made it this far, if you've ever felt that wrong stillness in the trees, or heard a voice on the radio that shouldn't have been there, then you know why these stories never make it into the reports. Here's what I need from you before you go. 2 things, real quick. First, drop a comment. Tell me the city or country you're watching from and the time it is where you are right now. I read every single one, and the creepiest comments end up in the next story. Second, if you want a new story like this every single week, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. I don't want you to miss the next one, because that one's the worst one yet. That's it. Comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Sleep tight.